Welcome back to Sober Psychology, where we slice through the mental BS like a hot knife through a therapy couch. I don't know. I'm Michael, your host, a psychologist in training, a sober dad, and a guy who's seen enough self-doubt to know that you're probably sitting there thinking that you don't even deserve to listen to this podcast.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
That's right. Today we're diving into imposter syndrome, a sneaky little voice in your head whispering, "You're a fraud, and everyone's about to find out." And here's the spoiler alert. We'll go ahead and spoil it before the episode's over. It's lying to you, but it's also a total asshole.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
So that's what we're going to talk about. If you've ever felt like you're faking it at work or in recovery or hell, even in life, this episode is 100% for you. We're going to unpack why your brain's gaslighting you into thinking that you're a loser, what science says about it, and how to tell that inner critic to just shut the hell up, right? Expect some dark humor, maybe, a little sprinkling of dark humor, some raw truth, and maybe even a few bruises. Emotional bruises, I don't know, maybe, because coddling your insecurities is like giving a participation trophy to a dumpster fire. By the end of this, you'll have tools to kick the imposter syndrome in the nuts and maybe even laugh at how ridiculous your brain can be. So let's get to it. Welcome to the show where we break down the mental health stigma, navigate sobriety with humor, and prove that it's okay to laugh while you heal. Let's get real, let's get honest, and maybe a little weird. Growth is messy, but you don't have to do it alone. This is Sober Psychology. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Another week, another episode 42, I believe, 41, 42, I don't know, sure. But we're talking about imposter syndrome today. This is something that comes up a lot in my life. A lot of the people that I talk to that are in recovery, and just if you're not in recovery, just everyday life, I think it's something that we struggle a lot with. I think that there's a lot of struggle with the comparison aspect in social media and seeing everybody else live their life and whatnot. And so I felt like this is a very prevalent one to come up with. This is a very surface level aspect of, or a breakdown of imposter syndrome. But imposter syndrome is a very big issue for a lot of us. Okay, as a matter of fact, I think the statistics is like 70-something% of people experience imposter syndrome on a consistent basis. I would imagine 100% of us have experienced it at some point, but it's a human condition. It's something that you can work through and get better at. So we're going to break it down, what it is, what it looks like in recovery, and then also what you can do to make it better, right? We're having a lot of people show up and watch the content on YouTube. We're not having as many people stick around as I would like, but that's just what you get. As the numbers go up, you tend to see people that are just looking, we're like freaking fish, right? We got like 5 seconds maybe of captivating your attention. And again, this is one of those podcasts. It's a talking head video. We're talking about some pretty heavy issues, so it's not always going to be rainbows and unicorn farts. I'm not here to coddle you, so I get it. The content's not that viral, but as always, it would help out a lot if you could go and share the content, comment on the content. Any type of traction like that helps out, but we are trending upwards, and I appreciate you all who are constantly consuming the content day in and day out, or week to week. It means a lot. I really appreciate it. We still have a lot of people, mind you, who are not subscribed to the channel, but you're watching the content. So I'm just going to throw that out there and leave it alone. All right. We're going to dive into the imposter syndrome. I believe the first section of this is broken down into 4 sections, but the first section of this is just what the hell is imposter syndrome. We're going to define it for you and hopefully give you a clear definition of it before we dive into it even deeper, right? Imposter syndromes basically got you thinking that you're a fraud, right? And so your brain is just throwing a tantrum because you may be actually killing it. Again, this is something I struggle with a lot. We've talked about this with the insecurity aspect of it, and I am a perfectionist. And we're going to learn in this episode that being a perfectionist is that is the battleground for imposter syndrome, right? So first off, Imposter syndrome is not some cute little quirk that you put in your Tinder bio, right? It's a psychological mind melt where you feel like your successes are an absolute fluke, and you're one step away from being exposed as a hack, right? This syndrome was coined in 1978 by psychologist Pauline Clance and I think another psychologist, Suzanne Imes, or Imes, whatever, IMES. But it's that sinking feeling that you get when you land a promotion, you ace a project, or even stay sober for a year, and your brain goes, nah, you don't really deserve this, right? You're just lucky, okay? Does that sound familiar to anybody? It better. If it doesn't, you're lying. But it's like your mind is playing a prank, but nobody's laughing, right? The research backs this up, but there's a 2011 study in the Journal of Behavioral Science that found that up to 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point, right? Especially the high achievers, which is interesting. You see these people that are excelling at what they're doing and they're achieving a whole lot, and they experience imposter syndrome the greatest, or in the greatest numbers, okay? And this is because your brain is wired to focus on what you don't know, not what you've actually nailed. Right? Your brain kind of gets to this point of relief whenever you've done something really well, and then it immediately goes on to latching on to something that you don't know or you may not be good at, right? It's a trick that it's playing. It's called the oh goodness, Dunning-Kruger. Is it Dunning-Kruger? But it's the Dunning-Kruger effect's evil twin, basically. It's, while idiots think that they're geniuses, you're out here doing great work and feeling like you snuck into the VIP section of life with a fake ID, okay? It's your brain constantly playing these tricks on you, okay? And just let's be real, like in recovery, imposter syndrome, it's like a truck, you're 6 months sober, and instead of celebrating or appreciating where you're at and what you've been able to do, you're thinking, I'm not really sober, I'm just pretending until I screw up, right? And that is your brain's that is a constant trick that your brain will play on recovery people. But that's your brain's negativity bias, basically. And this was confirmed in a 2008 study in Psychological Review, which makes you dwell on your failures while ignoring the fact that you're basically a badass for not chugging whiskey at 9 a.m., right? And this is a constant game, right? Imposter syndrome is like your brain saying, you're not sober, you're just cosplaying recovery. Right? So you can tell that voice to eat shit, basically. You're doing a great job. You're staying sober, okay? I completely forgot, by the way. If you've made it this far, I apologize. I forgot in the beginning, but thank you all for being here on the channel. Thank you very much. Watch this. We got a little zoom. Hey, thanks for being here. Appreciate you. All right? Thank you very much. And thank you all the way up there. I appreciate it. This one's awkward because you can see that I'm wearing shorts with a nice shirt. Okay. Don't miss the YouTube experience. You miss all the camera angles. You goofs. Section 2 of this is why your brain is a jerk about imposter syndrome, okay? We've talked about how it's playing this game. It'll almost put you in this negative feedback loop. It's constantly a con artist, okay? This is where a lot of what you're gonna see is the elements of imposter syndrome. It's bouncing around in that amygdala again, right? So as we'll get, in the last section of this where I give you the solution, I give you, a way to start working on it. It's all taking all of this from the amygdala and putting it to the prefrontal cortex where we can start to analyze and think about it differently. But anyways, section 2, why your brain is a jerk about this. So why does your brain pull this crap at all? We're going to break it down right now on this channel, live, recorded, but here we go. Imposter syndrome thrives on perfectionism. And perfectionism is just self-hatred with better branding. There's a 2016 study in personality and individual differences that found that perfectionists are more likely to feel like frauds because they set impossible standards. Perfectionists are more likely to feel like frauds because they set impossible standards. I need to tattoo that somewhere. You're not just trying to stay sober, you're trying to be the Dalai Lama of sobriety. And when you don't hit that mark, your brain calls you a poser, right? And then there's the comparison trap of all of this. Social media is a cesspool for this. You scroll through Instagram and you'll see some influencer with 10 years of sobriety, a 6-pack of abs, and a book deal making you feel like you're failing at recovery because you ate a whole pizza last night. The 2019 study in Computers and Human Behavior that showed that social comparison on social media tanks self-esteem, which fuels the imposter syndrome. And here's a newsflash for you: that influencer's probably crying into their kale smoothie when the camera's off. All right, we tend to do this with the comparison, where we always see somebody else and we think that the grass is greener on the other side. It's just more grass. That's all it is. What you're doing is great. And one thing that humans, I had this conversation this week with someone about this, but one thing that human beings absolutely fail at every single time is the acceptance of grace. Okay, and whether you are a Christian and you believe in the infinite grace of God, or whether you are just a human being with a human condition and you can't accept grace for yourself, you're never good enough, you're never doing the right thing. Even if you do the right thing, it's not good enough, it's not right enough. I should be doing more. This part of that comes from the perfectionist mindset, but part of it comes from this comparison too. I struggled a lot with this when I got sober. I reset my life at the age of 30, 31 years old. Well, by that time, all of the people that I graduated and grew up with, graduated high school with and grew up with, they're already out of college and they have career jobs and they have families and they have kids. And here I am getting sober. Okay, that's how I saw it. But what I did was I got sober. I wasn't living in my truck anymore. I was fighting every day to get back on my feet. I was constantly exploring everything going on in my head, all this baggage I carried and this resentment that was dragging me down. And I worked to become the best version of myself that I can be. And that doesn't just happen and then you're done. That's an every single day endeavor. And I'm grateful for that. But instead of appreciating how far I've come, instead of appreciating how much I've been able to navigate through the treacherous waters of alcoholism and all of the trauma and BS that I've created for myself as well, instead of appreciating that and beating my chest a little bit and saying, hey, you're a survivor, buck up, buddy. Instead of doing that, I start comparing. That's a dangerous spot to be in. Social media is awful. It's awful, awful, awful when it comes to the comparison aspect. I follow a lot of recovery people on social media, and you got a lot of these people that have incredible stories, and not to diminish any of their challenges that they've been able to overcome, but you see them and they got the book deals, and they've got huge platforms and all, and I'm just sitting here thinking, here I am, 36. I'm about to finish school and I'm making a podcast in my office. And it's like, but considering where I was 5-6 years ago, where I was living in my truck and couldn't stop drinking, spending my last $20 on gas station beer instead of putting gas in my truck, I'm a winner. I'm a warrior. I'm a champion, right? And we have a hard time with that. So take that what it is, but we got to give ourselves more grace, okay? And then we can't forget the cognitive distortions aspect of this as well, right? Your brain's got a PhD in twisting reality. Always has, always will. There's a 2020 study in cognitive therapy and research that found that imposter syndrome is linked to this all or nothing thinking, where one mistake means that you're a total failure. You miss one AA meeting and then boom, you're not really sober, right? You get a B on a project, you're a fraud who shouldn't be in grad school. It's like your brain is writing fan fiction where you're the villain. As a dad, if you're a dad, you get mad at your kids, you snap at your kids, which happens, right? You yell at them and you know that you shouldn't in that situation. Now all of a sudden you're the worst dad in the entire world. You're not. You're a human being and you made a mistake. You know what you can do with mistakes? You can make amends and you can get better and you can learn from it. But it doesn't make you the worst dad in the world. It doesn't make you the worst version of whatever it is in the world. You fail at something, that's a learning point. That's a stepping stone. Your brain is out here acting like you're a fraud because you didn't meditate for 20 minutes today. Tell it to chill the hell out. You're not a fake, right? You're a human being. Congratulations. Welcome to the party, okay? Section 3 of this, we're going to talk about imposter syndrome and how it shows up in recovery, all right? So, we're going to talk about how imposter syndrome basically loves to crash the party when it comes to recovery. You're working the 12 steps, you're showing up to meetings, but deep down you're thinking, I don't belong here. and I get that. I'm not like these people. I don't belong here. What am I doing? You know, that's imposter syndrome, basically gate crashing your sobriety. Right? There's a 2017 study in the Journal of Substance Abuse Treatment that found that the feelings of not belonging in recovery in those communities, it increases the dropout rates by a lot. All right, and that's because you're basically telling yourself that you're not sober enough to be there, which is like saying that you're not sick enough to go to the doctor. Okay, what's the qualification? What is the qualifying aspect of this? Right? There are two qualifying factors to be an addict alcoholic, right? It says that very clearly in the big book, you know, with sufficient reason, I cannot stop. Once I start, I can't stop. And then I can't ever call my numbers. I can't sit down and say, I'm just gonna have 3 drinks tonight. No, it's always more. Once I start, I can't stop. I can't put a limit on anything that I'm doing, all right? So sober enough, if you're a day sober, that's enough. You did it. Good job. Do it again tomorrow and keep going. You know, I struggle with this too. There were a lot of dudes that were sober for a lot longer than I was when I started going to these meetings, you know, and I started meeting people that are in the recovery program, and that's tough. I get it. But that imposter syndrome is just 100% lying to you, right? The big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it doesn't directly name imposter syndrome, but it's all over that text if you break it down psychologically. Page 62 talks about the self-will run riot, which, you know, that makes you think that you're either the best or the worst, and there's no middle ground. It's just that ego swing. I'm either the absolute best and I'm better than everybody, or I'm completely trash and everyone's better than me. That's imposter syndrome's playground, by the way. You're either the poster child for recovery or you're a total fake. And your brain is betting on fake. It's fighting against you. I'm sorry, that's the reality of it. But here's the truth. AA doesn't care if you feel like a fraud. Okay, page 94 says, outline the program of action and why you are now endeavoring to be helpful to him. And the translation for that is show up, do the work, and stop overthinking it. Okay? You're okay. You're good. Right? Nobody has set a standard that says that in order for you to get recovered, you have to have 4 years of sobriety. Okay? I have almost 5 years of sobriety. I'm still a baby in all of this. Same thing as being a Christian. Do you know how much of an infant I am with Christianity? I don't have biblical knowledge of a scholar. I just go and I learn, and I show up every day, and I pray every day, and I just try and get better and better and better and closer and closer and closer, right? To try to learn more about God. It's the same thing with recovery. It's the same thing with being a husband. I'm not the perfect husband, big time not the perfect husband. And I will fail, and I will still fail for the rest of my life. I'm going to constantly fail at being a good husband. But my job is to say, okay, I'm going to be better tomorrow. I'm going to love my wife more tomorrow than I did today. And I'm going to keep building on that and building on that. And when I fail, I don't quit. I say, okay, I screwed up. I acknowledge it. I recognize it. Okay, I need to get better at this. That doesn't make me an imposter. It makes me a human being, right? Science has your back on all of this too. There's cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a huge heavy hitter as far as imposter syndrome is concerned. There's a 2018 meta-analysis in the Journal of Clinical Psychology that showed that CBT reduces imposter feelings by challenging distorted thoughts. Okay, amygdala, prefrontal cortex. That's all we're trying to do here. For example, instead of I'm not really sober, CBT makes you reframe it into I'm sober today and that's enough. All right, and then you pair that with self-compassion exercises, and I know that sounds like yoga nonsense, but a 2021 study in the Frontiers in Psychology found that self-compassion cuts imposter syndrome by about a quarter. So you're looking at 25% of that is just cut, just by learning self-compassion. So basically, stop beating yourself up for being a human being. That's all I'm trying to say to you, right? You feel like you don't belong in AA, spoiler alert, nobody cares if you feel like you're a fraud. Just show up anyways, okay? You're not an outlier. You're not a thorn in someone's side. Like, just show up, okay? Here is the solution. Section 4 of this is how to tell imposter syndrome to F off, all right? So now it's time to fight back. Step 1, call out your brain's bullshit. Write down every single time you feel like a fraud and then fact check it. You got a job, you earned it. Sober for a week, that's real. There's a 2020 study in the Journal of Counseling Psychology that found that journaling about achievements reduces imposter feelings by basically grounding you in reality. Your brain is a liar, but paper doesn't lie, okay? So just get into a process of writing down every time you feel like an imposter. Act like you're an attorney. Cross-check it. Get some facts. Do some research. Figure out if it holds, okay? Step 2, talk about it. Imposter syndrome absolutely thrives in your silence. You share your doubts with a sponsor, with a therapist, or a friend, right? Page 84 of the big book says, "We vigorously commenced this way of living as we cleaned up the past." That means that you're gonna have to learn to be honest about your insecurities. There's a 2019 study in the Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin that found that verbalizing imposter feelings reduces their intensity. Amygdala, prefrontal cortex. God dang, keep saying it. So, tell someone that you feel like a fake, and they'll probably say, yeah, same, me too. And then you'll both laugh at how ridiculous your brain is being. Step 3, embrace good enough, right? Embrace that good enough mentality. Perfectionism is the enemy here. And there was a 2022 study in the Journal of Personality that showed that accepting the good enough performance slashes the imposter syndrome, okay? You don't need to be the best sober person in the room. Just be sober. You don't have to be the best Christian in the world there's no such thing, by the way. You don't have to be the best Christian in the world in order to receive the love and the grace of God, all right? Be good enough and then build on that, okay? And if you're struggling, fake it till you make it. And I hate saying that because I'm a perfectionist and I'm all about authenticity, but sometimes you just got to get to this point where it's like, okay, my brain is telling me that I'm an imposter, that I'm a fraud. I'm just going to continue to fake my brain out and say, okay, I'm already there. I'm good enough. I'm good enough to go. Keep going, keep going. Page 559 of the big book promises a new freedom and a new happiness. That's not about being perfect. It's about showing up, flaws and all. Okay? Imposter syndrome got you down. Write it, talk it, tell perfectionism to go screw itself. Okay? So wrapping all of this up, imposter syndrome is a liar, a thief, and a total buzzkill, but it doesn't get to ruin your life unless you let it. Whether you're in recovery or climbing the career ladder or just trying to adult without losing it, that voice saying that you're not enough is full of shit, I promise you. The big book and science, the Bible, there's so many places that agree. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep going. All right? Progress, not perfection. So here's your homework. Write down one thing that you did well this week. It doesn't matter how small. And then tell someone about it. And then if it feels weird, and if imposter syndrome creeps in, just laugh at it. Okay? It's just your brain throwing a tantrum because you're out there winning. You're doing a great job. Okay? All of you, if you're here, if you're holding $1,000 freaking iPhone and you're scrolling through social media and you've got a roof over your head and you're caring for the people around you and you love the people around you and you're working on loving yourself, if you're working on it at least, you're doing okay. All right? Are there people that are ahead of you in certain aspects? Absolutely, right? But you owe it to yourself to give yourself enough grace to say, okay, I'm doing enough today. I can do a little bit more tomorrow, but right now I'm good. So stop letting your brain lie to you. Okay? As always, thank you for tuning in to Sober Psychology. If this hits home, smash the like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who's battling their own inner critic. We're here every single week, tearing down the mental walls that hold us back. So until next time, stay real, stay sober, and tell your brain to take a hike, right? Imposter syndrome is just your brain being a drama queen. You're not a fraud, you're a freaking legend. Keep going, okay? Keep your head up, keep your heart open, and go help somebody. Love you guys.